the influence of TCFN in your country. Can you describe a little bit what have changed or what is the influence?
Well, it's an opportunity to network, of course, with colleagues from right across the continent of Europe and North America. And so what you're really doing is bringing context to the work. Many American foundations, and we're a very old foundation, 87 years old, we have our ways, our traditions, the way we approach things. And I think what the European influence did was to challenge some of the ways we thought about our work, to remind us that it's all about community building, not about endowment building, and some of those kinds of things. There were obviously some products that got created. We had a product called the Balance Wheel, which in our city, for example, we used as a community leadership development tool, which we're using quite extensively still. And we've hired a consultant, we've got it on the web, and we're really planning to use it a lot in our city. We've had guest speakers to our city from Poland and Slovakia talking to community foundations. So this interchange has brought ideas back and forth and perspectives. And I think the biggest influence is context, that you understand who you are better if you can see yourself in somebody else's work and the differences. It helps you understand your own work.
The influence on you personally?
Well, I've got a lot of friendships, obviously, and the network started about the same time I started with the Community Foundation. So the network's 9 years old, and I've been in this business for about 10.5 years. So, it had a huge influence on how I thought about the job that we do, the whole issue of community building, and as I say, the context of what we're trying to do in Winnipeg, what I'm trying to do in Winnipeg, relative to how other cities are approaching it elsewhere. And we're very fortunate in many respects. We've got a lot of assets, so the question is, how do we use those assets wisely? Our work has been largely based on peer groups. We've gotten together around the world, around North America and Europe, met in these variety of contexts with people and talked about specific topics. And the last one, for example, I was at was on bequests, and we've had hundreds of bequests in our organization. But it's interesting to see how others are approaching it, the strategies that they're using, sometimes how culturally appropriate it is or not, and that raises questions in your mind about the kind of work that you're doing. And basically what that happens, you take that back, you implement it in your own organization, you talk to your colleagues in other parts of Canada about the work that's going on, and it starts to have like a ripple effect. People see one foundation doing something, and others copy it effectively, and so the communication happens that way. And then of course there's the newsletter, and there's all the formal presentations and that kind of thing, which is another way, of course, of communicating what's happening.